What is up, NFL fans? Welcome back to another episode of The Way We See It. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Wesley Coleman. What's up, Wesley? Man, the combine is here. It feels like we're back. We're back to football.
The NFL season's starting again. I thought we were just depressed last week about losing it, but we're back.
Hey, it's like seasonal depression. The NFL, like you have a week off and you kind of get depressed, but then you get something to talk about next week. That's the way the NFL schedule works.
The schedule will be released before we know it.
Yeah, it will be. And the new league year is just a couple weeks away, which is wild, and we'll be talking about that for sure. On this podcast, we are going to touch on the combine, some of the NFL competition committee things that they're going to be touching on, and free agents. But let's start off with, this is starting to really ramp up, and these are the players that could be cut for multiple reasons. Some are performance-based, some are contract-based. I would say more contract-based than not. To give you kind of an update, it's already been reported that the Atlanta Falcons are going to cut ties with Kirk Cousins, who I believe made over $100 million in his time in Atlanta, but he is going to be cut. Antonio Gibson was cut from the Patriots. I know that the Chiefs released a defensive end, but we have a list of some other notable potential cut candidates. What do you want to do, AFC or NFC first, Wesley?
NFC.
All right.
Super Bowl champion. They get to dominate this.
There you go. Good. All right. So there's some of these on the list that you helped concoct. Actually, you did it. And let's with Kirk Cousins, let's talk about that. No one is surprised, right? They're going to eat the contract. They don't want him there anymore. Do you think that he is even a viable option for anyone in the league?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the last time when he was starting for Atlanta at the start of the 2024 season, he was injured, never kind of got right. But the end of last year, he was, even if Penix was healthy, I mean, Cousins played better than him when he was playing at the end of the year. I wouldn't say it's a surprise because of the large contract, but I mean, Michael Penix is not going to be healthy at the start of next year and able to play, and they need somebody to play quarterback. It's somewhat surprising, but I know Cousins wants to get out of there. I'm sure he's got a couple of places where he is interested in going.
Where obviously Minnesota has
to
be.
Minnesota would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. We'll see. Then we go down to your team, the New Orleans Saints. You have Alvin Kamara as a potential cut candidate. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I've seen that listed. I just, for knowing and paying attention to the Saints, that's just not something that they would do. That's just not their thing. If they were going to do that, they could have traded him at the trade deadline this last year and gotten something for him. Now, he did imply that if he was traded, he was just going to retire. He said, if I get traded, I'm going to go have a margarita or pina colada. He said,
there you go.
So that's just not the way the New Orleans Saints do business. I couldn't see them moving on from him. But
how many years do you think he has left of quality play?
Quality play as a starter?
I think we'd be quality play doesn't have to be a starter at the running back position.
I think he can be a good running back on a team for another year or two, something like that. But I mean, probably with him, before he's going to go off and be a third down running back that gets 18 snaps a game, he's probably going to retire.
Okay. Now we continue with the running backs. We go to Aaron Jones. Yeah. Aaron Jones is a name that a lot of people are thinking could be a cut candidate. He feels just like you're talking about these guys that are aging. Sometimes they've got injury histories. What's your take on Jones?
I mean, just he's already 31.
Yep.
And which is ancient for running backs. But this past year, 2 yards after contact, which is 2.8 yards after contact per carry, 3 touchdowns in 12 games. I mean, you can replace that with somebody much cheaper. And so cutting him saves $6.8 million. And the Vikings are $40 million over the cap.
When you see the productivity, everyone talks about the resurgence of the running back, and they're talking about the Saquon Barkleys and the Derrick Henrys. It's again, it feels like the NFL in a nutshell. You have the upper echelon, and then you have a huge gap, and then you get these lower tier players. But what you're seeing, I mean, there's some great examples of players who were undrafted this past year that were on the practice squad that came in and were effective running backs. Why do you have to pay a guy like Aaron Jones that amount of money if you can get that productivity from someone else? Then you go out to Arizona, James Conner, which I love his story. Obviously, he was a former Steeler coming off a pretty tough injury. I could see him being a cut candidate, and I just don't know how much he has left in the tank. The guy's been hurt a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, even with all that, the two things that come out is he'll be 31 before the season starts, and it saves $7.5 million to cut him. Those two things don't match up well, especially if you're coming off an injury.
Yeah,
That's just tough. And I like James Conner a lot too, but it's also an Arizona team that, like, what are they really doing? And so, are you really worried about the veteran presence for $7.5 million and what he brings? I think him and Jones are very likely to be cut.
I agree. I agree. Now, the next player on the list, Brandon Ayuk. We joke about Brandon Ayuk a lot on this show because obviously the Steelers had their foray with him in the offseason 2 years ago or during the season leading up to the trade deadline as well. And he just didn't report. And that's when Kyle Shanahan said, I haven't seen him in months. I don't know what he's doing. He most recently had an Instagram live where he's holding an ice cream cone and letting it melt in his hand. What in the hell is going on with Brandon Ayuk? He's definitely getting cut. The question now becomes to me, why does anyone want to sign this guy?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, the Steelers do need another wide receiver, so I mean they could jump right back into the Ayuk.
They do, but do you want that wide receiver is the question.
I mean the 49ers are going to try everything they can to see if anybody's willing to trade for him. If they cut him, it's $29.5 million and no cap savings. I mean, that's if they cut him before June 1st. I don't know. It could save them 6.3 million if they can do it post June 1st, but like it's no matter what, it's going to be nasty, and he's not going to be on the 49ers. I think he'll be in the NFL next year playing for somebody. I mean, not at that money, but what a mess.
Throughout all the drama that surrounds Brandon Ayuk, the one thing that a lot of people that aren't 49ers fans don't talk about is his health. This guy completely tore up his knee 2 years ago after signing that big time deal. And no one really knows if he's fully healthy. And yes, you can talk the timetable and how long it takes. And he had an LCL and an ACL injury, whatever. We haven't seen it. Like, we haven't seen him go out. Does he still have the route running ability? Does he have the burst? We don't know. And so there's just all these red flags surrounding Brandon Ayuk. I know someone will. You're right. Someone will sign him. He will be playing in the National Football League. But man, that's buyer beware, is it not?
For sure. And it's you're not getting a lot of guaranteed money for him. And it's definitely a 1-year deal.
Yeah, for sure. Let's finish up the NFC with TJ Hawkinson. It's an interesting name. Obviously, tight end. He's been around the NFC North. What's your take on Hawkinson in terms of being a cut candidate?
I mean, you're talking about like a super aggressive start to his career. He had 155 catches in his first 2 years, which is huge for a rookie in his first 2 years or tight end. Looked like he was going on to be like one of the great tight ends. Signed a big contract, and now he's got a $21.3 million cap hit for 2026, which is actually the highest tight end cap hit in the entire NFL.
Really?
Yeah. And so I don't know. Like he's just he's not doing good. I mean, the 25 games since he signed that contract, he's got 92 catches. So he's well short of where he started in the first 2 years, and that's just too much money. I think they can save $8.9 million if they cut him before June 1st. 16 million if he's a post June 1st. You just can't do that with a tight end. Now, yeah, I just don't think they can come up with an excuse. So we've got a young quarterback, or we're going to be bringing in a new quarterback. Like, I think it's just too much money. Again, for a Vikings team that is $40 million over the cap.
Yeah, they're going to have to slash some costs and try to that, or they do a deal and then kick the can down the road. You're familiar with that. The Saints basically invented that.
We love it.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the AFC. There's some interesting decisions here. I actually want to start with a player. I'm going to give you props because, I like to pat you on the back when you get things right. Go back almost a year ago, actually a little bit closer to mini camp and stuff. You said Joe Mixon's hurt, and I don't think he's going to play this year. And everyone from the national perspective saw the Texans and said Joe Mixon's going to start on IR. And I was like, Wesley called this. And then but he's going to return, and they're hopeful. The dude never played. And so, again, you talk about Brandon Ayuk's health and no one knowing. No one knows what Joe Mixon's health is either. Joe Mixon, cut candidate? You think yes?
Yeah, I think he's gonna make them cut him before he retires. And like, I just think. I mean, again, a guy who will be 30 before the season started, not playing the entire year. That's it's rough on a team that definitely would have needed him if he could have played.
Was it an ankle injury? Is that what it was?
It's knee stuff.
Knee. Okay. Stuff. That's never good. Knee and stuff in the same sentence, right following each other, are never never good. He's got knee stuff. So you think his career's over?
I mean, I could see somebody giving him a chance, but yeah, I mean, with a 30-year-old running back coming off missing a year, that's tough. I do believe he's not going to play an NFL regular season game ever again.
All right. Hey, he predicted it last year. Let's see if he gets it right this year. Tua down in Miami.
Man,
New regime. I just don't. There's so many questions about this. Is a bad contract. Like, this is a tough contract. They're going to eat it. This is like a Russell Wilson deal.
A pre-June 1st cut is $99.2 million of dead money. And if you post June, it's just that exact same amount divided by 2 years.
Is that worse than Russell Wilson? I feel like it is.
Yeah. I think Russell's was low 90s.
Yeah. Holy crap. I mean, you think they cut him? Do you think they actually eat that and say, you know what, we'd rather pay someone else to have you than just have you on the roster?
I mean, I think it's going to make a lot of sense for the Dolphins if they can find a trade for him and then eat a lot of this, because they're still going to have to eat the money. Right. So if you can just eat a little bit less of the money, I don't think Tua is this. He did play last year and he didn't have a concussion last year so that wasn't an issue. So I think that there's a lot of quarterback needy teams right now. I'm not, whether it's a trade or whether it's him being cut, Tua is going to find a place to compete for a quarterback job next year. I don't see Miami being able to trade him though, but they should be aggressive in trying to.
Do you think that he still has what it takes to be a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL?
When you say, do I still think, like, were you referencing a time where I ever thought that I'm an LSU guy, so I hate everybody from Alabama.
I get you. I get that. But what I'm saying is that I feel like due to the brain injuries, mainly the brain injuries, it feels like his processing is slower. And I don't know if he has it anymore.
I don't think that Tua has ever been as bad as he's been made out to be. Like, again, the concussions are terrible, and I would have loved to have seen him retire 2 years ago. But as far as his play on the field as a quarterback in the right offense, I don't think I think he's been hated on more than how much he should. I think he's fine. He's one of the top 20 quarterbacks in the world. I mean, maybe 23, something like that. He's definitely there are not 10 quarterbacks who deserve to be starting an NFL team before him.
Like Quinn Ewers.
That is one example of somebody who was a worse quarterback than Tua.
All right. What about Geno Smith? You know, the Seahawks trade him to the Raiders, and he does not play well this year, or last year, I should say. They have the number 1 overall draft pick, and they're going to take Francisco Mendoza, as they should. And it looks like a new dawn for the Raiders. But I don't see anyone trading for Geno Smith. So you think he's a likely cut candidate?
Yeah. I think he's for sure being cut. Again, saves them $8 million, puts $18.5 million in dead money. But they're going to be all in on Mendoza. Mendoza's not coming in we're not looking for a bridge veteran to start half the season, while Mendoza's coming there with Clint Kubiak to be the starting quarterback, and run like that. Even if Geno was on the open market as a free agent, I'm not sure he would make sense as the veteran behind Mendoza. I think they should bring in somebody. I just didn't think he just wouldn't work in that role whatsoever. So,
so you don't see him sliding into like that Jacoby Brissett role where?
No, I do, just not for the Raiders.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think he signed somewhere as a veteran to be there, and whether it's a young quarterback or anybody could go down and he could play a few games and run whatever offense you're doing. He'll be signed somewhere as a veteran. It just, the Raiders doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Curtis Samuel and Dawson Knox. Both of those players unique in their own ways. What's your take on those two?
Well, I mean, it's just tough because you're talking about a Bills team who, if anything, the talk has been, do they not have enough wide receivers? And that they signed Brandon Cooks, who's cut by the Saints, and he becomes their like main wide receiver in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But these are two guys who they potentially a lot of savings for being cut. I think between the two of them, it's like a minimum of 15 million, but up to 18 million that they can save. And the two of them have not been good. They just Knox kind of hurt too much. But you've got Kincaid that's also hurt a lot. Between the two of them, between Kincaid and Knox together, they make a good tight end. That's just unfortunately not the way their contracts work out. And then Curtis Samuel, I know he signed a 3-year, $24 million deal 2 seasons ago, or before 2024, 38 catches and 2 touchdowns in the 2 seasons since then.
Yeah,
that's not
just not it.
He's not,
and that's a team that's kind of having to rebuild certain areas, mainly on the perimeter of their offense, and so you have to think you got to free up some space if you're going to go.
That 18 million they can save, they're going to put it right back into a wide receiver that's going to get paid 30 million. I mean, it's they need a true wide receiver one for sure.
All right, 2 more players. Calvin Ridley. It's been a while since Calvin Ridley was suspended for gambling on the sport, but still, he's still in the league. Do you think that, obviously you think he's going to be a cut candidate, but do you think he finds a home somewhere?
That's an interesting one. I'm not sure because this might be surprising, but Calvin Ridley's 31 years old now. Yeah. And he's actually, for 2026, he's supposed to have a $26.5 million cap hit. I mean, and then after he broke his leg, it was just in November. So, but even before that, in the 17 games, he had 17 catches. Now, again, that's when Tennessee and Cam Ward and everybody was kind of figuring it out. But I'm not sure if we see much Calvin Ridley kind of after this.
Tennessee made some bad deals last offseason, and they signed up, again, example, Dan Moore, rough tackle from the Steelers, who was a backup tackle. I mean, they gave him a $50+ million contract, and we're like, oh my gosh, Dan Moore got that deal. And then Calvin Ridley on top of that for sure. I didn't realize he was that old, but then again, it makes sense now that I think about it and how many stops he's had along the way. And he's been in the league a long time. Let's finish this up, though, with Steelers Patrick Queen. I understand the cap savings. I disagree with him being cut, though. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Patrick Queen was the first time that I appeared on a Steelers podcast with you is when y'all signed him. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right.
I talk about his LSU days and all. This one's tough. Listen, you can decide this one. I think Pittsburgh has to cut either Patrick Queen or Jalen Ramsey. And I think Jalen Ramsey makes a lot less sense to cut after he moved to safety and looked good. I mean, I think it sucks for both of them. I think it sucks for the Steelers. I think they could definitely use Patrick Queen. I'm just, $13 million is $13 million. Now, you could save $6 million more by cutting Jalen Ramsey. I guess it just depends on how desperate you get.
As Steeler fans know, Jalen Ramsey's contract is unique. No one truly knows the actual details. All the websites that get these contracts, that put them out there, whether it's Spot Rack, Over the Cap, they have different contract details. So no one truly knows with Jalen Ramsey what that looks like. But the Steelers are in a decent cap situation. They have anywhere between 45 and 47 million, I believe, in cap space. They could cut players like Jonnu Smith, Malik Harrison, and save themselves another $11 million. I think they keep Patrick Queen. He's in the last year of his deal. Yeah.
I think the average Steelers fan would look at it and go, 120 tackles. Like, why would we get rid of this guy? He's so energetic and like he makes plays. His pass grade coverage this past year was terrible.
Yeah.
And he that's always been a part of his game that kind of sneaky he was able to do. And this past year was bad. Now that's kind of, you think older linebackers, that's probably the first thing that goes is getting side to side and figuring out covering tight ends. But I'd like to see him keep him. I mean, he's a good LSU guy.
He's not old. He's shy of 30 still, and he's been in the league a long time because he came out of college really young.
Yep.
But he has there's a lot of tread off of the tires because he has been playing a lot. He's been banged up at times. I think the Steelers keep him. I don't think they give him a new deal. They're going to let him play out this season. But again, the Steelers are having a regime change. Patrick Graham's a new defensive coordinator. What does he look for in his linebackers? Does he fit what they want and what they need? That's something we don't know yet. So
yeah, and to be fair too,
I
said about the cap savings, but the Steelers are not in bad cap space at all. Like they're not having to make decisions they don't want to make.
Yeah, they have a lot of flexibility in that regard. All right, let's go on to talking about the NFL. And this is the time of year when the competition committee gets together. And this is also when you hear some teams might like last year, the Green Bay Packers, they put in, we would like to see the tush push band. The Detroit Lions put in to have reseeding possible after the regular seating, after the regular season ends, before the playoffs. Nothing is happening with the tush push this year. Does that surprise you?
Very much, because I thought that this year it was like, I don't know if people are like trusting that maybe the NFL is actually going to start calling the false starts, even though they've called them on everybody except for the Eagles. It's strange to me that it's not being, because I thought that anybody bringing it up this year would have actually gotten it across the finish line to kill it. But I don't know.
Do you think that the league, from an officiating standpoint, I know I agree with you what you just said about how everyone got it called on them except for the Eagles. Do you think that they're starting to realize how to officiate the play?
No.
Well, it was better than it was better this year than it was the year prior, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Outside of Philly, Pittsburgh got called for a false start, and it was a false start. I saw other teams get called for a false start. Yes, Philadelphia somehow, some way, and also, and again, we're going into the weeds here. There was the play, I want to say it might have been against the Rams, and I could be wrong. It was in Philadelphia where Jalen Hurts was doing the tush push. And he was rolling a little bit to his left, and he tried to extend the ball, and it got knocked away.
Right.
And they said his forward progress had been stopped when it clearly wasn't. I don't think they figured it out, but I do think they're making some steps into learning how to officiate the play. You agree or disagree?
I mean, the thing is sure, they're figuring out what they should call, but I mean, a football field's 53 yards wide, right? So if the ball's right in the middle, the closest referee to see who's moving early is 26 feet away. I'm talking about from the side, from going forward and backwards. I mean, from 26 yards away, from 75 feet away, none of these 65-year-old men can tell who flinched first an eighth of a second, but we see it on replay that they miss it every single time.
Yeah.
So I think it's just more kind of I don't know if it's a play that can be called correctly. Sure. I know they know what they're looking for, whether or not they're going to see it or guess right or wrong. I'm not sure. But it's also a weird play.
Not that it matters, but the USFL has done some things that the NFL's adopted, mainly the dynamic kickoff return. They have banned the tush push for their upcoming season. And a little caveat here, any field goal made beyond 60 yards worth 4 points. What do you think about that?
I mean, I like it in theory, but the 60-yarder is kind of not becoming. Maybe I like it for them. I think that because I'm guessing in the USFL, if you can make a 60-yarder, you should probably be in the NFL. So,
what would the yardage be if you were giving it an extra point? 70? 65?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say 60. Probably you can't say 66, but so probably 65. Like I'd go with like 66, 67 though. But 65 would be like the roundabout to do it. But like, what does that change? How do you like this? A team on third down taking a step back 2 yards and downing the ball so that it can be a 65-yard field goal versus a 64.
Ooh, that's a new level of strategy.
It gets real interesting. Like I like that kind of thoughts behind it about
yeah. I'm glad you said that. I never would have thought about that. If you're 3rd and 4, you're like, not looking good here. Why don't we just take a 2-yard loss and then we'll add an extra point? That changes the whole dynamic of the way the game would end. I mean, that's wild. I don't think the NFL would ever do anything like that. But it does add a ring.
Somebody's going to do it extreme and run back 13 yards and go out of bounds. Like, okay, we've got 3rd and 20 from the 35. We're not getting that. I'm going to run back and run out of bounds 13 yards back so that we have a 4th down try for a 4-point field goal.
Well, think about at the end of a game. You're trailing by 3 points. You might just say, why am I going to even try? I'm just going to get into the win. I'm going to go for the win. We have a kicker who's really good. Maybe you play in a dome or inside. There's no wind. And then if you get it at the 35, you probably only need like 10 yards and you're in the 4-point zone.
Yeah.
I think you just sold on me bringing this to the NFL.
I like it. I like the extra layer of strategy to it for sure.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I swear I never would have thought about that, but it would. And that's another reason why the NFL will never adopt this rule. ever.
Yeah, it's way too much fun.
It's way too much. All right, we're going to talk about top free agents next week, but I want to get your take. Last week we talked about baseball at the end of the podcast. Let's talk about U.S. hockey, man. What did you think about the Olympics and the hockey team?
Well, I know you said U.S. hockey, the men's and women's gold medals
Absolutely.
against
Yeah.
Canada is just amazing. The both going into overtime, having goal, like just incredible. It was a lot of fun. Watched every second of both games. I will say that men's hockey game win is like that's a top sports moment that I hope. I mean, obviously a lot of people were watching, but that was just an incredible like all-time moment. I think that if you're a casual hockey fan that only watches it during the Olympics, or if something happens big like that, this was a huge one because the last two Olympics, NHL players weren't in it. U.S. hasn't won since 2002. Won a gold medal, and so this was a big one. It was just a great game. And to be fair, I'll tell you that U.S. wasn't the best, didn't have the best players over Canada. Canada had great players, and once it went to overtime, it was 3 versus 3. I was like, that sucks, because Canada, if you were taking all-time hockey and putting together the best 3-on-3 team ever, Canada has it on their team right now. Yeah. And so it didn't look very, very good.
Well, I think that Canada actually did miss Sidney Crosby the last two games. He's not the player that he once was, but he is still a really smart hockey player. And the one thing when it went to overtime that I thought was, there's more ice. If they can catch Canada being ultra aggressive, which they did, you're going to get an odd man rush the other way. There is a part of me that can't stand 3-on-3 as a deciding factor in a gold medal game. There's also a part of me that doesn't want to see the whole Dan Biles, my Team USA with TJ Oshie taking 25 shootout shots either. I don't like that either. Right. A part of me is like, why don't you just keep playing 5-on-5 until someone scores a flipping goal? But it was still exciting. I said this on another podcast. I'll say it here too. Anyone that says this is the greatest win since 1980s Miracle on Ice, please do your research on that 1980 hockey team. I don't care if you just watched the movie Miracle. That's fine. It doesn't even come close to that. The Soviet Union was an all-star team that was beating the NHL all-star teams, and a bunch of college kids got together and banded together and won. And by the way, that wasn't even the gold medal game. That was a semifinal game.
Right. The like comparison, if you're trying to do it, would been, I mean, it wouldn't be Sweden. It'd be Italy, the Italian men winning the gold medal against either the U.S. or Canada this year.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it would have been something just completely absurd. That,
it's a good comment.
Again, people don't have a reference for what that 1980s. They're just used to America being good at sports, and hockey's in the NHL, and that's in America. 1980 was different. It was a bunch of non-professional hockey players. Beating,
but they were good. They were good players. They played in college. Like, these are
beating the best team ever assembled up until that time.
Yeah,
I mean, it was very, very different kind of thing. But I don't know. This was a super cool moment, and loved them celebrating. Them giving respect to Gaudreau that had passed away was just amazing. Bringing two of his kids out to have the gold medal picture was just as awesome as you can be for somebody to support a teammate. And the huge loss, losing Johnny Hockey from the for American kids coming up playing hockey and all. But what an awesome, cool moment for sure.
Talk about pictures. The image that, I mean, there's sometimes where just a photographer gets that $1 million image. It's a picture of Jack Hughes with the American flag around his neck, and he's missing the teeth. And I'm like, what a picture! Like, that picture, put it on a flippin' Wheaties box, and then just go.
Dude,
it's such a great
the
show.
Dude loses a tooth earlier in the tournament, in the Olympics, and then in this game, the other tooth is broken off, but also you can tell where his gum is split because the tooth was coming out, but then half of it stayed back in his face. And it's one of those, it's a big deal because those penalties, if you don't watch a lot of hockey, is a minor high sticking is a 2-minute penalty. If you have blood, it becomes a double minor, so it's 4 minutes. And you can see Hughes immediately go to the referee. He's like, look, I mean, and he's just clearly spitting blood.
Yeah.
So and then he scores the game-winning goal. Now he also took a terrible penalty that I thought lost the game. When he took that penalty, it was a terrible high stick to give up.
Yep.
And I was like, that's probably it right now. But and then to score that goal is just incredible.
And a lot of times in hockey, you take a late penalty like that, you don't see the ice again. And kudos to the coaching staff for believing in him. Hey, like let's get this kid out there, give him some space. He's an offensive weapon, and he proved it. So it was fun. It was good. All right, man. Hey, what's coming up on the Dome Patrol podcast?
It's we've wrapped up Mardi Gras. Everybody survived. We're talking international games and the draft. That's kind of the big deal going on right now. So you can find us on X at Dome Patrol PCasts. You can find us on all your streaming platforms at Dome Patrol Podcast. You can find me on X at Wesley13. Jeff, where can we find you and figuring out which Steelers players are going to be cut and how they're going to make room for Brandon Ayuk's new contract?
Let's get steelcurtainnetwork.com for the website. You can find us anywhere where you get your podcast by searching Steel Curtain Network. Find me on Twitter at jhartman, HARTMAN _PIT. Enjoy the combine, Wesley. We'll talk next week, man. Take it easy.
Yep.